Hey everybody, it's Gail, and today I have the Juliet dress. So this is one of those vintage patterns that is all over the internet and has been all over the internet for 15 years. And I have had a copy of this pattern for not 15 years, but several years, and I finally decided to go for it, and man, I am so happy. So I'm just going to spin it around so you can get kind of the look of it, see the swish of it. And now I'm going to bring it in closer since I do want to show you some of the details. Come here, Kenny. Scooch up and down. All right, so the Juliet dress is from 1969, and it was originally a Women's Day pattern. And it's this funky, flirty, I'm so hip and sexy miniskirt sort of dress. And if you're wondering what it looks like on somebody who has, say, hips, here are some photos of me wearing it. Looking amazing. I made the second largest size, so largest size, go down one. That's the one I made. Made it exactly the pattern. Fits like a dream, as you just saw. By the way, I was wearing nude colored shapewear under the dress in those photos. I actually have a red slip that I bought to wear under it for Thanksgiving, which is in a couple of days, and I'm going to try to get some photos of that too, because I think it's just going to pop. It's going to be amazing. Anyway, sorry, I love it so much. Just like these huge, the big dramatic shoulders, and you've got the tie at the waist, which makes a huge difference. You might not think it will, but trust me, like having that tie just to do that little bit of pulling in. And then also it is mostly, actually I think it's entirely, with the exception of like a little bit of the neckline, double crochet and shell stitches. Very simple. If you can double crochet, you can make this dress. And I know that seems like it's not possible because it looks complicated, but I promise you, this is really one of those that if you can double crochet, you can make this dress. To make this dress, you're going to need a worsted weight yarn. Now, the original yarn was, if not Red Heart, I don't remember the exact original yarn, honestly, Red Heart adjacent in terms of it was a 100% acrylic yarn. It was a little more on the thicker side for worsted weight, which is Red Heart Super Saver all over. If you can wear acrylic and you like working with acrylic and you like Red Heart Super Saver, go for it. I would sweat my tits off. So I used Tahki yarns in Tandem, which I think, let me double check my notes here. I actually have it pulled up here. Yoo-hoo. I believe it's a cotton acrylic. Did I go with a cotton acrylic? Yeah, so it's cotton, rayon, nylon, acrylic. So 28% cotton, 28% rayon, 28% nylon, and then 16% acrylic. So there is some acrylic in this, but those other ones are meant to be a little breathable. And as I've always said, I'm not against using acrylic for garments. They don't work for me because I don't temperature regulate. But this, I have had the chance to wear it out. It's been very comfortable. It is fucking cold in Pittsburgh right now. I'm not used to this kind of cold anymore. I grew up with it in the mountains, but then I was in Portland for 15 years. So this is definitely one of those that I'm going to get the fleece tights out for. But I think it's totally wearable throughout the year. The thing that's really neat about this pattern, even though it lies to you, it says it's made all in one piece. That's not true. That's bullshit. You make it in a series of attaching pieces so that there's no seaming. That is not the same thing as making it all in one piece. It is a pet peeve of mine, so I'm bringing it up. But it works up beautifully. Like I said, I worked exactly the pattern, and it looks great. And the other thing I wanted to note was because this yarn was just a little bit thinner than the original, I went from the suggested 5mm hook up to a 5.5mm and hit gauge perfectly. So I was working in gauge, on pattern, beautiful job. My hips are 48 inches around for the record. That's very important to know because I knew it was never going to fit like the original because I have hips. and it was $69. But I do think it's important to note that with shell stitches, it's very easy to add them if you need them. So if you want the much flowier cut of the original pattern, just throw some extra shell stitches in here as you're working. I would suggest doing one on this side and one on this side, because you work basically a spiral side seam to make this dress. So do your additional chains, do your additional shell stitches for that extra room. On one row, do them on this side. On the next row, do it on this side. Work a couple of rows, try it on, repeat. I think that's going to be able to give you the exact fit you want if you're looking for the super flowy fit. Clearly, I was not. So the shell stitch, if I can get real close here and not slip on anything. Hold on. One downside to a larger office is there's way more room for me to bust my ass. Anyway, the shell stitch, I will point it down here so you can see a little better. It does work. It does end up very open when you have, like I said, hips. But also this is where you get to have fun with slips. Like I said, I've got a red one. And there's a bunch of different colors in this colorway. This is the Copacabana colorway that you can throw under to really make this very fun and personalized. It's 2 days before Thanksgiving. Bear with me. But the other thing I want to note, because the pattern itself, I think, is very easy to follow. It's very easy to understand. There is one spot that did give me pause. I did have to frog out a little bit, and that is part of the shaping on the neck. And that is because the way that the shaping is phrased, so you do a round of decreases. You do a decrease round where you're just pulling it from the four corners of the neckline. And then, and this is very important, because one of the things, if you look up this dress and you see people talk about it, they talk about how the sleeves fall down on them because there's a lot of sleeve right here. I believe the problem is that there is a slight misreading of the instructions. And like I said, I had to frog out when I figured it out, because it tells you on the rows where you're just doing the four corners, decrease in these four spots, working all the way across. Now there is another set of decreases, and I'll put it up here on the screen so you have it, that tells you to decrease 10 stitches over the sleeve cap, over each sleeve cap. My wording's a little bit off, I apologize, but it's on the screen. And what I did was I read that as, okay, I need to decrease 10 stitches around. Nope. I was wrong. What you need to do is work over to the point it tells you to work, so that you're only working on the parts of the pattern that the sleeve cap is part of. And you're going to work 10 decreases on this sleeve cap, and then 10 decreases on this sleeve cap. And that is how you get it to pull in so that it's not falling off your shoulders. If you like the shoulder falling off look, cool. Just, don't do those decreases like that. I do still recommend doing a couple of rounds of decreases to pull it in a little bit, but if you want it to fall off your shoulders and be like, I don't know, winchy, if you'll allow the term, then the answer is don't work those sleeve cap decreases the way it says. Do still work like 10 decreases around just to pull it in a little bit. But if you're looking to have the sleeves up, because they can be kind of heavy, you do want to do the sleeve caps in the way that I've described. I will also have it on my website in the vintage pattern errata, even though it's technically not errata, but there are times where tricky phrasing, I go ahead and count it, because this seems to be a stumbling block for people. And I think it's just a slight terminology issue, and so I want to write that down so people can find it and go, aha, I can make it the way I want to make it. Yeah, that's really kind of it. It works up beautifully. It's really fun. The shell stitch is very addicting because it builds up really quickly, which is always great with the shell stitch. And boy, do I want to make one of these that goes all the way to the floor. But not right now. Highly, highly recommend giving it a shot, having a good time. Keep your stitch markers handy. You're going to need them in the poofy part of the sleeves to sort of mark where stuff begins and ends. It also helps to have the beginning of the round and the middle of the round marked so you kind of know where you are. So yeah, I think that's about it. God, I'm so in love with it, you guys. You have no idea. Anyway, if you enjoy what I do here, please like, subscribe, share, tell your friends, all of that fun stuff, and I will see you when I see you.